Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here, Patrick Reusse with me. Patrick, terrible planning by all the teams, all the pro teams in the entire United States. Like, NFL is done.
Yes.
There's nothing going on yet. Baseball hasn't started their spring training quite yet. NBA and NHL are both on a break because the NHL's got the Four Seasons, Four Nations, not the Four Seasons, Four Nations. They're taking some time off. NBA's on their All-Star break. Like, there's when did this happen? When did this become the middle of July?
I don't know. Yes, it is. It's definitely, it was a dullard of a weekend. We were just talking before we went on. Now, as soon as they get 18 games out of the players,
Yes,
this will be President's Week. Will be Super Bowl weekend.
Yes,
so we'll still have the Super Bowl. We'll still have the NFL playing this week, which really wouldn't be all that bad. Of course, then the NHL and the NBA will have to move their All-Star weekends back.
Right.
Even more. I got to tell you, apparently America is paying some attention to the Four Nations Cup. I see they had 4 million people watch, but I don't. I'm not into it at all because, for instance, Finland. You're not playing Finland. You're playing the Finland's NHLers. You don't get they don't get the players in Sweden and the whole thing. And I think the fact that the Canadians are booing our national anthem has helped fire up a certain level of people, fans and that. But I don't know if we're going to have a parade for them when they come back. But anyway, that's a somewhat success. But I have to admit, I have no idea what the NBA did this weekend. I didn't watch a minute. I didn't watch a minute. I don't know. I don't know.
I guess
they divided it up, and I saw a headline that LeBron's team won, but LeBron
didn't play. He didn't play.
LeBron wasn't there, so I don't know what they were doing. But talk about an All-Star game that used to be a big deal. The NBA All-Star game. You get, the Glamour All-Star game. That's turned into a complete fiasco, and probably shouldn't even play it. I remember I covered the one when Magic had AIDS and he came back and played in the game, and they guarded each other, and they did the big thing there was some of them were saying they didn't want to guard him because they thought they were going to get AIDS and stuff, but that's they turned it into such a fiasco that they try to keep coming up with stuff, but it's ridiculous. And then the hockey just said, "The hell with it, we're not going to play one this year." So.
No. I think maybe their idea is the better one compared to whatever slop the NBA is doing.
Except to me, so you got guys out there who have to work hard for 10 or 12 days, right? During this break. Yes. And Kaprizov's in the Bahamas smoking cigarettes or something. If I was running an NHL team, I wouldn't want my guys playing in this.
Sure.
Thing. So
a really intense, right in the middle of the year tournament.
Yes, fighting each other for no reason, and
they might come back and have to play 4 more months of the season if they go to the Cup Finals.
Oh yes, that's right.
You're right.
It's incredible. Anyway, yes, it is the definite dead spot of the schedule, which we don't
pro calendar.
Yes, and. We were talking a little bit. Meanwhile, the Twinks are getting ready to. When do we actually play a game? About a week?
Saturday.
Oh, maybe.
Saturday. Yeah.
That's another thing they've screwed up, Mike, by spring training. The last week of March is when the traditional really spring break. So that's when your youth assembles and invades Florida, invades Arizona.
Yep.
You're gone. You
can't watch them anymore.
March 25th, your last exhibition game. They've given away the last week where you're getting your team ready. B, you got a youthful audience showing up to drink beer and watch and have a good time. And they're not there anymore.
Not there.
Instead, you're playing in February where the crowds are lousy and nobody's no tourists are down there yet. So it's they've even screwed that up. So anyway,
they're good at it. They're good at screwing things up. What do you think of the Twins this year, Patrick? The projections are more optimistic than I am. You see FanGraphs are like 85 wins. Good chance to win the division. They haven't done a whole lot. They've added a couple of guys lately. I don't know. I still don't quite know what to make of these guys, except that they'll probably pitch okay.
I do think that the incredible negativity that was, the last, really after the end of the last season, it's as bad as it's been, even when they were completely miserable. And I think the poll ads announcing that they're going to sell has softened that to some degree.
Sure.
I think people are optimistic. I mean, I was talking to Mike McFeely up in Fargo, and he says he's never heard less Twins conversation in February. Up there,
sure.
People are that it just seemed like they're off the table. And I'm not saying there's a groundswell of interest, but I don't think it's as bad as it looked like it was going to be last October, and when people were so upset that they didn't spend any money, and the terrible ads and the whole thing, and announcing they were going to sell. And then what were they saying? That originally there were these reports, and I don't know if anybody was ever directly quoted, that they were going to have to get down to 125 million, and so they wanted to cuts. Even worse cuts, and maybe they're going to trade Pablo to get down there.
Yeah,
I think that because of the idea that they're going to sell, it's lessened. The negativity is lessened. It's still there, but it's not as bad as it was. I think the pitching could be pretty good. The bullpen should be good.
Yeah,
they have some options. In modern baseball, you need 8 starters, right? You basically need 8 starters. Now, I wish they had a left-hander somewhere in the world.
Yeah, Danny Coulomb.
Yeah, but he's in the bullpen.
In the rotation.
Like a left-handed starter. I mean, the last left-handed starter they had was Dallas Keuchel for 6 games.
Their last legit lefty starter was who was it? The guy Perez, right? Didn't they have Perez?
Yeah, Martin Perez was great for
4 months.
Great for 3 months, and then he couldn't get your grandma out for 3 months. But they haven't had one forever. But they do have. If you throw in the 3 young guys that pitched, last year a lot, they have 7 probably now, right? They do have that. I mean, this is Chris Paddock, who you'd love to trade, but I don't think you can.
No.
So you throw him in there, and they got pitching starting options, and then they do have Griffin Jackson, Duran, and 2 of the. I actually would rate him Jack's Duran now. I like Jack better than Duran, but but I'm not going to complain about either of them. So you got them as your 8th and 9th inning guys, and I saw the reaction to. When the Orioles didn't sign, how does that guy pronounce his name?
Coulomb.
Coulomb.
I had to look that up the other day.
I always screw it up, but Coulomb, the Oriole fans were upset that they let him go. He's a fair lefty, so
Well, he had elbow problems last year too. He missed 3 months, so that's probably the
had bone
more
chips
of it.
Out,
yes, bone chips.
And who knows? We really love signing injured pitchers.
Yes, we do.
One of the.
It's a specialty.
I think that's number 5 on Falvey's list of priorities. You got blah 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 blah. Number 5. If the guy's been hurt, maybe he'll come back when we can get him cheap. That
is part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. I don't like the lineup that well, and we've had our traditional Byron Buxton has never felt this good, and
right.
I think what I think a lot of it is what's Correa's attitude going to be? Is he going to play 140 games and care?
Right.
Or is he like, I don't know. I don't want to say I don't trust him, because I think he's a great shortstop and fantastic. But I think he's a salesman. I think he says the right things, but I don't know if he means them when I'm around him, and which is not nearly as much as other people.
Sure.
Our guys who are beat people love him because he's a talker and stuff. But I don't know. What's his attitude? Is he gonna want to play 140 games and hit in the top 3 or 4 in the order and be as dynamic as he can be, or is he gonna have the how'd I end up here and I'm not making as much money as I thought I was gonna make attitude? I don't know. That's a lot of it because he adds a lot of class to that lineup.
And he was terrific last year before he got hurt. I mean, geez, finished with a 905 OPS, hit over 300. I mean, he was having a great year before, again, the foot problems. And I kind of forget, he's been here 3 years now because he had the 1-year contract, and then he has already had 2 on the longer term deal. So,
and the other thing is, okay, what's Reusse?
Yeah.
Is Reusse, is he a star, or is he 2 months of stardom followed by 2 months of ineptitude? It's and he wasn't that good a third baseman. So
unwilling second baseman. Yeah.
Yeah. If he's going to be a standout, I'm saying let's say you rate him 1 to 5. If he's a 4, then you got dang near a 5 in Correa. I don't know. The other thing you see is I've been reading Bobby and Phil and those guys, and they were mentioning a second base and stuff like that. And the guy not getting a mention is Brooks Lee. Is he out of the picture?
It sounds like he's going to start the year in AAA. Yeah, I don't know if it's just kind of like that's where you need to start him just because of options and the other guys have more tenure, they've done more stuff here, but he was knocking the cover off the ball when he first got here last year, but he cooled off quick. So I don't know. It sounds like Castro's going to play a lot of second this year.
Second base, I don't know what the reason for that is. I like Castro playing 100 games at 5 different spots and be. Yeah. I still think they'd trade him if somebody take that $6 million off their hands and give them something for it. But maybe not. Maybe they can't afford that. So, but they do have the backup center fielder for
Bader. Yeah,
they don't need to play Castro out there. But I guess if they're not cutting budget, Castro's a valuable guy to have around, although the Twin Cities chapter of the Baseball Writers voting him the MVP was one of the greatest embarrassments in the history of the franchise, but that's okay. The fact that all my colleagues were wrong doesn't bother me that much.
You've never been afraid to point it out either.
Should have been Griffin Jacks, but anyway.
How would you like to be Ty France and you come here and they get like a 1-year non-guaranteed $1 million contract, then everything else everybody's said since you got here is, well, this guy's our starting first baseman. Like,
right. What's going on?
Why can't could you have paid me a little bit more?
I'm right. I mean, he's got to make the team, for goodness sakes, and you're declaring him. Yeah, he's really good at first, and we think we can fix him. And
right.
2 unbelievably horrible seasons after being at the All-Star game in 2022. Yeah. I have no idea. I don't know that much about him. He's another right-handed hitter, but if he doesn't play if he's, let's say he's cooked, he's one of those guys that had 2 good years and he can't hit. Who we playing over there? Eddie?
Well, Eddie, Jose Miranda, and Eddie. Like, those were the options before. So,
but if you don't. If you keep France, if he's your first baseman, one of those guys doesn't make the team, right? Julian and Miranda. I don't think you got room for both of them, do you?
Unless you think, I mean, at least Julian can play. I mean, both of them can play other positions. Obviously, Julian's play second, Miranda play third, but not particularly well. So I don't know. Is there enough there where they keep him and then kind of rotate him through all the other stuff? I don't know. Neither one of those guys is like an outfielder, right? Julian hasn't played in the outfield, has he?
No. But here's the deal: if Julian hits, like 2 years ago, we all liked him, and then all of a sudden he wouldn't swing a bat. last year. The third strikes drove me nuts. But if he can hit, then Willie Castro's not playing second base. Julian's playing second base.
Right.
So,
Castro's
and
back to
then
being
and
a
then
super sub.
Miranda. What's Miranda? You're right-handed DH, I guess.
Right-handed DH, occasional third base. Yeah, they threw him over at second base a little bit last year too.
There's a mystery too, by the way. Till the end of July, he was a machine.
Yes.
And then he didn't get a hit for 2 months, right? I mean, it was brutal. He got banged up a little bit, but
well, and the other thing too, you got to remember is you got Correa at short. There's no guarantee how many games you're going to get out of him. Then all of a sudden, Castro's over there. Or something. He's probably your backup shortstop, right? Unless you bring Brooks Lee up. So.
Yeah, that's right. I don't like him there, but you can, I guess when you see Correa playing shortstop and then you see somebody else playing shortstop, you're going to see a decline.
Yes.
For sure, but I don't think Castro's a natural shortstop, but he's not he can play him there twice a week. Playing him there 6 days a week is a different story if Correa gets hurt. But anyway. Yeah, I mean, you can find spots for Castro. There's no doubt about it. But if Julian, I'm very curious about him because he was, what did he hit, 195?
199 last year, I think. 199. He was below 200.
I mean, I don't know. He's one of the strangest dudes ever. They say he's kind of a cut up in the clubhouse. And he's a funny guy.
Quiet guy, but quiet guy otherwise.
He looks like there's nobody home when you look at him. I mean, he's got that blank look on his face, and I mean, a weird story, but. Man, I mean, he was a 16-year-old prodigy in Canada as a hitter,
sure.
And I think he can hit, but he's got to swing. He's got to realize that they might call him out on a pitch 2 inches off the plate, so he's got to swing at it. I'm very curious about him, and he could either be done or one of your surprises of the season, because I really think he has hitting ability if he'll just swing the bat.
Who have we decided? Who are the corner outfielders? Is it Wallner and Larnach? Is that who we decided?
Wallner and Larnach, and then Harris and
Bader.
Bader's going to play against lefties probably. I don't think they'll play Wallner and Larnach both that often against left-handed pitching.
No, I wouldn't think so.
One of them will play, but Wallner and Larnach is two. Here's what's going to be bad. If you hit one of those weeks where they're both in a because they're going to be. They're going to be good for 2 weeks, and they're going to be.
And you're going to have your 1 for 17 with 10 strikeouts kind of week.
Yes, that's the way sluggers hit. Listen, I go back to Bob Allison. Okay.
Yeah.
Bob Allison, MVP for 2 weeks. Awful for a month.
Right.
MVP for 2 weeks.
Okay.
When he was hot, it was unbelievable. When he was cold, it was boo.
It usually added up to something better than what Trevor Larnach gives you, though.
That's true.
So you lived with it, but.
Although I think they liked Larnach better when he came back last time, didn't they? Last year, I think. I don't know.
A little bit more.
I'd tell you, he's strong. He can. I'd give him a run here, I guess. I don't know, and see if it works or not. But I still see Castro. Games when the lefty's tough. You got. If you got a tough lefty, there's a good chance you're going to have Castro, Bader, and Buxton, don't you think?
Yeah, does Austin Martin have a role here at all still?
Yeah, I think he's getting. It looked like he was going to be your backup center fielder, and they were saying how he's going to play a lot in center field. Now it looks like he's phased. So
I don't know. I wouldn't say it's an overly interesting roster because it's not all that changed from last year, but they got to figure out whatever happened at the end of last year. And it just kind of seems like maybe nobody was in charge. Nobody was in charge at the end of last year. Nobody stepped up and said, okay, here's what's wrong. Now we're going to start winning again. I just still can't understand how you go from 70-53 to 12-27. It's just a mystery, and they got to figure that out.
And the other thing is, I'd like to, I'd still have the big red ribbon around. I'd be hoping every day that one of the good teams loses a catcher.
Yeah.
And I could get rid of Vasquez because I'd like to see Camargo or somebody like that.
Right.
I'd like to see somebody else get a shot to be have Jeffers catch 100 games and have some other guy catch 60. And Vasquez he was awful last year.
They like throwing to him. They
allegedly like throwing to him more than they like throwing to Jeffers. And there's guys that watch that are former big leaguers who are always around the press box who will point out Jeffers' inadequacies behind the plate. Okay. But I don't know. Christian I don't think you can afford to have him in the lineup myself. So.
I think they gave him 3 years and $30 million back in the day, right? Back when we were spending money, back in the good old days.
We weren't worried about it. So back when we weren't worried about it.
Back in the last year of the fat TV money, they were just like, well, we got $55 million coming from Diamond Sports. Let's write the checks.
Now you wrote something the other day about what the new deal is, the Twins TV.
Yeah.
So I've got streaming.
Yeah.
What do I do?
You're still going to be shut out. You're going to have to buy your Twins.tv package if you want to play on the up and up.
But how do I then get it attached to me?
It should be it should.
I don't want to have to do too much.
I would imagine. I haven't done it yet, but I'll end up doing the same thing because I've got Hulu. That's my provider, so I don't have FanDuel Sports North now. I believe it'll all be run through the MLB app on your TV, and you'll just find your games.
I have the MLB. I have it on. I don't have the MLB. I'll have to get it.
It's no harder to add it to your TV than it is to add to your phone. It is pretty easy. You just search your app store on your TV, and it's actually I think people are this is the problem though. Like this is another step, and if you once you do it, it should be fairly easy. But for people who haven't done it yet, there will be some hurdles. But if you already have the MLB app, it's basically just a matter of adding it to your TV and logging in, and you should, once you pay for that package, you should have all the stuff you need. But again, they've been a little light on the details for February 17th in terms of like
they should be going house to house and knocking on the door.
They should have someone. They should have someone who can put the app on the TV for you, show you exactly where the channel is on your cable system. They haven't even announced where the channels are on the cable systems yet.
Because I'm 79 years old and I'm the average age of Twins fans.
Yes.
Okay. So you should come out and help us here.
You're probably not the average age of cord cutters though, but yes, I think you'll be all right. But again, they have been a little light on the details, especially of the who can get it, where are the games going to be on Comcast? They still haven't announced that channel, and people are like, are they going to be on cable TV? And they're like, yes, we're going to be on cable TV. Don't worry. But they have to find like MLB is negotiating all these things kind of as one big group.
My streaming is YouTube TV, which somebody I saw on Twitter the other day, and I haven't seen this, said that they're dropping CBS.
Whoops.
YouTube and CBS are in some kind of a feud.
Someone's always
fighting. How am I going to watch the Masters? That's all I care about.
Why can't these guys just get along? Why can't they? Why do they have to fight all the time? They're just it's just too contentious. Things are all over the place.
Well, I don't know. I was Hulu for 2 weeks once.
Yeah,
and it was so because I can't remember what I had originally, and then I dumped it for Hulu, and 2 weeks later, Hulu dropped Bally Sports North,
which was probably Fox Sports North
again.
Yes,
and then finally YouTube dropped them too, and then I just gave up.
When I cut the cord originally, it was for Sling TV.
Okay,
and I got like the smallest bundle possible, but it had what was then Fox Sports North back then. And I think it was for something, the whole package. It was insane. It was like $30 a month. I got I got everything, including Fox Sports North. And if you wanted to get other sports channels, which I think I upgraded to like the $40 package, which had all the other channels too. Like that was what it was when they got you in at this ridiculously low price. This was only like 5 or 6 years ago, and it was great. You were like, you had all the sports you wanted for a pretty cheap price. And now now that, of course, they've figured out that those are the only, valuable properties. And so now they jack the prices up and everybody's mad at them.
I can't tell you how many apps we have that I never watched in my life because, the bride is big on the monarchy and old British shows.
Oh, geez.
Stuff like that. And there's about 5 different varieties.
Do you have BritBox? Do you have BritBox?
We got, yes, we got BritBox and a bunch of stuff. Once in a while, I'll say, why do we have this? Just because I watch this show and leave it alone. So
we've got a lot too, not for my wife, but for our kids. Because every time, it's like, oh, that movie's on Peacock. We got to have Peacock. Oh, that movie's on Paramount Plus. We can't get rid of Paramount Plus. We got Netflix, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Amazon Prime Video.
My problem is the TV I usually watch down here in the den where I'm doing this some of the stuff you can only get upstairs. I don't.
Because you haven't put the app on the TV.
I haven't moved them to the other one, apparently. Right. I just thought it happened, but
no. Yeah, you got to put the apps on each TV.
It's a complicated world for watching sports. That's sure.
It is. I couldn't find the Gopher women's basketball game yesterday. I wanted to watch it while I was riding got a little exercise bike down in the basement. I was going to throw the game on, do a little workout, and couldn't find it. They lost to Oregon. They I wouldn't say they had to have that one, but that would have been a nice one to have because they were 7-7 in the Big Ten going in. They haven't really beaten anybody good this year. They've got no quad 1 wins, 1 quad 2 win, but they're still pretty high up in the
it amazed me that they were rated 28th and they played one of the worst non-conference schedules in America. They were I saw a strength of schedule thing because the 2 division 1 teams that were supposed to be respectable that they played both turned out to be awful. Houston and somebody else, but they were 342.
Yes, their non-conference schedule was not good.
Non-conference schedule was an embarrassment. And so I thought somehow they were 28 and net ranking there.
And they're still pretty high up. They're still in the low 30s, I think.
Really? Why? How can that be?
Because the Big Ten is amazing. There's supposed to be 12 or 13 Big Ten teams projected to make the field right now. And that's including still, I think, the Gophers. They're kind of on the bubble at this point. They've got Purdue this week, which is terrible. And then they've got 2 more. I think they play 18 conference games in the women's slate. So they got 2 more after that. But they've got some work to do. I think I'm going to have Kent Youngblood on this week to break it down for me because I don't obviously follow it as closely. But I think long story short is they could have used that one against Oregon yesterday at home, and they did not win.
Apparently the women's conference, they had Southern Cal and UCLA.
Who were tremendous.
Quite the addition for them. But the women's is a little stronger than the men.
Yes.
And to say the least. You know who's terrible? Iowa. Are they just McCaffrey?
They went in the tank, yeah.
Is McCaffrey going to get fired?
I don't know. Well, it's a good question. They don't. He can't really fall back on his charming personality, can he?
No. Well, I think he's funny, but if they take a vote among referees, I don't think he's going to be back. And his wife is a real character, Maggie Nolan, who used to play at Creighton. She was big star at Creighton.
Yeah,
Maggie's been known to rag the officials. And, somebody told me that when her son was playing basketball in Iowa, down there in Iowa City. There wasn't a referee within 50 miles who didn't want to have Maggie thrown out of the arena. I guess she would. Maggie's also famous for a press conference sitting in the back of the room and when he was at Siena and saying, Coach, do you think this is the worst officiating you've ever seen in your life? And he said, not now, Margaret, not now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she apparently hates the officials. But the rumor is the guy, if they replace him, the guy who was at Northwest Missouri, who had this great record, who lost to Mankato last year in that great game, regional game in Mankato, and is now at Drake.
Oh, okay.
And he plays this hardcore defensive style. They win the games with 50 some points
Okay.
because they a lot of ball possession, a lot of screens all over the place.
Okay.
I can't remember what his name is, but the rumor is he might end up being the next Iowa coach. Would be a complete opposite in style of what McCaffrey plays, which is try to score 100.
Is
So
it Ben McCollum?
Ben McCollum,
Okay.
yeah, that's it. That's
Another
and he
21
had a
and
great
21 and
record at
yeah,
North.
21 and 2 this year.
Yeah, in his first year there, he was
Yeah.
he was supposed to be going to Illinois State or something like
Okay.
that, and then he backed out and went
Huh.
to Drake, and
Right.
he's got some connection to Iowa, but he's supposedly a candidate to
Huh.
be the coach. I was talking to somebody, and one thing I want to mention here is, have you looked at the Northern Sun is a pretty good basketball
Yeah.
conference.
Yeah.
Got a five-way tie for first.
Ooh, really?
14-6
Wow.
with two regular season
Oh.
games
Huh.
left
That's pretty
before the
good.
tournament.
Never
But
seen that. A
I was
five-way
talking
tie for first. That's good.
five-way tie for first. I was talking to Morgenthaler last night, the Mankato coach.
Oh, yeah.
Watch your dreams and savings grow with Royal Credit Union's 4.25% annual percentage yield 12-month certificate. Open now at any Royal office or online at rcu.org/certificate saver. Early withdrawal penalties could reduce earnings and principal. APY accurate as of 2/1/25. Insured by NCUA.
And he says, "Yeah, it's just a mess."
Are you gonna do something on that?
I think
or
I might write something
okay.
for Wednesday on it. Yeah, it's because it's terrible football conference in the
Right.
sense that there's like 7 or 8 good teams, and then there's the dregs.
Sure.
But the smaller schools that really shouldn't be playing football against Mankato and some of these teams, Augustana, are good. Are basketball, it's not a problem. Whether you got 2,000 students against 15,000 students,
Right.
it's not a problem. So they got a
Right.
really good basketball league. Although Northern State, and this is which had Parker Fox and went to the national tournament and was and leads the nation in attendance for Division II basketball in Aberdeen. Is 1-19.
Ooh.
So it's interesting. So anyway.
Maybe Parker Fox could go back and play for them next year in his 9th season in college basketball.
I said they really went downhill in the second half of Parker Fox's
during Parker Fox's second administration.
We aren't giving Parker's not getting as many minutes. So.
No, although they won the other day, and I saw it sparked some social media discussion. Has Ben Johnson done enough to save his job?
I saw it's. Well, here's the big problem, and I tried to write this a couple of weeks ago. People think it's a good job. It's not.
Yeah, no, not
you
until
you don't have NIL money,
not enough
you got a
NIL.
lousy arena, and you got every game on television, and there's just and it's hard work going to Williams Arena in the winter.
Yeah, it is. That's true.
How would you like to be? Let's say they had a home game tonight.
Oh, that's like a million degrees below zero.
Park 3 blocks away, or
That's true.
6 blocks away, and you hump it over there at 15 below. It's hard work. It's an uncomfortable arena. It's a lousy place, really, and you can watch it on television.
Yeah,
so,
it's a good point. None of the big arenas over there have connected parking, do they?
No, and then the parking lot across the street from there, of course, that's for ticket holders and somebody. But the big lot, which is behind the hockey arena, and the 2 hockey arenas over there, that one also says only ticket holders can,
season ticket holders.
Holders.
Okay.
What's wrong with you idiots? You got 7,000 people coming to the games, and they got big empty parking over there, and they got people humping it from 5 blocks away, freezing to death. So I don't know. If I've always thought that one of the real shortcomings in University of Minnesota bureaucracy is the parking staff.
Well, yeah, you don't really think about it until you start thinking about, if I go to a Wolves game, I park in, one of those A-B ramps.
It's not cheap. It's $20, but you walk.
You don't get cold.
Skyway. Yeah.
You don't get cold, and same for. I mean, Twins game is not the same problem because most of that's when it's nice out. But same with the Vikings game. If you want to pay the freight, you can get Skyway connected, and XL, same thing. But those college games, you gotta. It's not easy to find parking and stay warm, especially when it's going to be right now. It's like 15 below as we record, and it's 40 below with the wind chill.
Okay. One last question.
Yeah, one last thing, please.
What's your verdict on Ben? Yes or no? Up or down?
On Ben Johnson?
Still undecided.
I mean, the cop out is to say, let's see how the season ends. I still do think that even though it's a hard job and even though he came into it at an impossible time, I think it's probably just the time for a clean break. It's nothing against him necessarily. I think they had something going last year, and he got royally screwed by how the system works right now. If this was 10 years ago, he probably would have an NCAA tournament team right now. So that's not fair. But I think this is an opportunity for a clean break. You got the whole revenue sharing thing starting next year. Maybe a chance to revamp this program. I just don't think you can have another. Even if he's having a better year than they started this year, I don't think you can have another year like this. It's just the attendance, everything is just it's not where it needs to be.
And I think that, I don't know. I'm split, but I have a hard time. But the one thing that pointed out, DeRusha had something that he deserves to keep his job.
So I saw that.
I retweeted it. And then one thing people are pointing out is none of these guys will be back next year.
That's true.
Anything that's happening right now doesn't really mean anything. You got awesome. The guard from Cherry is about the only guy that's playing any while.
Every year it's a new team.
Senior. Yeah, it wasn't his fault this year. I mean,
no, it wasn't.
Just 6 of them left on him, but. If somebody's going to pay $500,000 to Farrell Payne, which allegedly they did, who was playing well at Texas or Texas A&M or someplace. I mean, what are you going to do? What can you do?
If you don't have the money, you don't have the money, right?
Yeah. And do you really want to give Farrell Payne $500,000?
I don't know.
It's a tough one. That's for sure. And but again, as I tried to point out a week ago or so. So if you go for a new coach, it's going to be Nico Medved, somebody like that. Well, Patino just beat him by 22. Right. Should we bring back Richard?
It's right. I think at this point it's a perception thing more than anything. Nobody is fired up about this program. So it would be less about Ben Johnson's shortcomings and more about can someone else spark something here and get it going.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to do that by hiring away a big name coach for something. No. You got to identify the greatest D2 coach that's 38 years old and full of urine and vinegar, and just some guy that comes in and he might be a complete failure, but he might also be you got to get a psycho, basically. You got to find the new Musselman. You had the 31-year-old guy from Ashland, Ohio, who was insane, but very successful.
Speaking of Musselman, they play the young Musselman for the first time pretty soon, right?
And they beat him.
Oh, they just beat him. USC. That's right. They just beat him. That's who it was.
He's having a very mediocre season out there. So I don't know, but how about the elder Patino? By the way, they're ranked 9th in the country and leading the Big East.
Guy can coach a little bit.
He's the best coach I've ever seen. When he had those Kentucky teams, I was covering Final Fours back then. He's an unbelievable coach. I mean, he can coach, man. He's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and. He was, they were terrible when he got there, right?
Yeah, they were terrible.
2 years later, they're
Yeah.
This is his second year there, right?
Is this the second or first year? I can't remember. This might be his first year.
If it is, it's unbelievable what he's done. So, anyway.
Yeah. All right, so
all righty.
We'll be back next week. We managed to at the start of this we were like, oh, we're probably going to keep it short, half an hour. We can never keep it that short. We already got to 40 minutes. So there you go.
Okay.
Thanks, Pat. Bye bye.
Goodbye.